Hello, family. Welcome back to another episode. I hope you've been enjoying what you've been hearing lately. If you have been, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. Telling your friends about my show wouldn't hurt either. In high school, like a billion years ago, I was in marching band, and we didn't usually go away for band camp. I went to a small, poor mountain school, and we didn't always have the money to go away. But one year we did. And the place we went to camp at was a college deep in the mountains of West Virginia. Beautiful campus, but the arts building where the music department was, where we had inside practices at, was a bit weird. Like, right from the start, we had issues with the piano in the hallway, sort of between where my section practiced and other sections practiced. That piano would play by itself, loud enough and long enough that it would distract our practices, and section leaders would go out to see who was, goofing off and playing the piano when they shouldn't have been, just to find no one there. Other things happened in the building that, probably within 2 days of us being there, let us know that the building was probably haunted. We get home from camp. Probably a couple years later, I start searching, and apparently other people have had similar experiences in that building. So, I don't know. This episode is all about people who have heard phantom pianists. Something about ghosts, they like to play that piano. I guess it's kind of like humans. Most humans, they can't resist the urge when they walk past a piano from, just knocking out a few notes. Even I do, and I can't play piano to save my life. Sit back and enjoy the show. Story 1. Play it again. My family inherited a really old house. It's an old plantation. When we moved in, we found an old piano upstairs. It was baby grand, but it was in very bad shape. We fell in love with that old piano and had it rebuilt. We put it in the downstairs parlor, and I would practice on it every day after school. One night, after I went to bed, I heard the piano start playing. At first I thought the cat was walking across the keys, because it sounded like a jumbled up mess of notes. But then, the jumbled up mess of notes slowly started to turn into a classical piece, and it kept playing, and kept playing, and kept playing. I was the only one at home, and thought it was some sort of weird robber who had broke in and suddenly started to play my piano. I didn't dare go downstairs. I stayed in my room for about 30 minutes. But finally, I got really, really curious and decided to risk it and take a peek to see what was going on. When I stepped out of my room, the playing stopped, and I went downstairs. There was a really old book on the music stand that I'd never seen. I played the first couple of notes, and sure enough, it was the first notes of the song I heard. I then felt this really weird feeling, and it got really cold in the house. So I put the book back on the stand and went back to bed. The next morning, I told my brother and my parents, but no one believed me. So I went to get to the book, and it wasn't there. I've never seen the book since. But there was a tear-out of the page that had some of the notes on it from the song that I'd heard playing that night. I showed them, and they still don't believe me. Oh well, I still play the piano. I don't know if the ghost does or not. Story 2. Tuned. Several years ago, my family moved to New Hampshire. We bought a huge 200-plus-year-old house with about 200 acres of land to go with it. We had this one room that had an antique piano in it. It was very old and very out of tune. A lot of the keys didn't even work, or would get stuck when you tried to play them. One night I was in the kitchen. I was alone in the house. By several strange coincidences, my mom taking my brother to the hospital because he had gotten very sick. My dad had to go to the house next door for only a minute. Anyway, I began to hear the piano play. It was in perfect tune, coming from the room with the piano in it. However, to get to this room, I had to cross through several unlit rooms and hallways, then enter the piano room and turn the lights on, and the light switch happened to be right next to the piano. I couldn't bring myself to do it, even though I wasn't fearful of whatever was playing the piano. After a few minutes, the music stopped, and then my dad came home. I didn't say anything, but together we went into the piano room. I sat down to try to play it, and it was just as horribly out of tune as it had always been. But yet, whatever had been playing it when I was all alone had played it perfect and beautifully. Story 3. Wrong Note. This happened when my friend was a child. His family was living in a house in Hanwell, West London. His parents still live there. When they were young, they wanted to learn how to play the piano, so their dad found them a second-hand piano after seeing one offered for sale. It belonged to an older couple, and the couple wanted a quick sale. At first, things were okay, but after a while, odd things began to happen. Gas jets on the stove would be left on, water left running in the taps. The family thought that maybe they were just becoming absent-minded. But as time went on, more deliberate ghostly acts began to happen. The music holder on the piano would rock back and forth by unseen hands. The lid would slam down without anyone being near it. They started catching glimpses of a male ghost in the room where the piano was kept. Perhaps the most eerie thing was when my friend was all alone in the house one weekend. He heard the piano play just one note all night long. His sister was the focus for the haunting, because she was the one who used the piano most often. She was physically attacked at least twice by unseen hands in the middle of the night, and curtains in her bedroom would blow when no windows were open. The incidents became so bad that it was felt that the piano had to be what had brought the ghost in with it. So my friend's dad contacted the older couple who had sold it to him. They confessed that they had bought the piano from a junk shop, and they themselves had been assaulted by ghostly activities, so they decided to sell it. My friend's dad thought it was odd at the time, when the piano was delivered, that the lady said to her husband, "Do you think that will end it?" The piano was taken and run back, broken up, and burned in a bonfire. The ghost never returned.